Democrat Joe Sestak, even though, if you remember and you go back a little bit, they reportedly tried to get him out of that race, Joe Sestak, but now it's a different story. Here they are on the campaign trail. Take a look.
What we're asking for is another 2 years. You gave them 8 years to dig the hole. Give us 4, half that much time to get out of it.
It's difficult here in Pennsylvania. It is difficult all across the country. And unless each and every one of you turn out and get your friends to turn out and get your families to turn out, then we could fall short.
Well, the latest Real Clear Politics average shows Republican Pat Toomey leading by just under 4%, as you can see in this Toomey-Sestak race. Let's bring in our guest right now. Democrat Ed Rendell, of course, is the governor of Pennsylvania. He's also the former chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Governor, good to see you. Welcome.
Hi, Martha. How are you? I
am well. Thank you very much. I saw you over the weekend. You said, look, I've been out there. I've been talking to folks. Democrats are more fired up than people realize. We're not seeing that when we look at the intensity polls that are out there. Some very interesting numbers today from Gallup, Ed.
Well, I think all these polls are suspect because polls, remember, have to wait. And they make a judgment. They're weighting Philadelphia as X% of the Pennsylvania vote. And that's where I think most of the polls in Pennsylvania are going to be wrong. I've been out campaigning for the last 4 days, and I will tell you, African-American voters are fired up. Latino voters are fired up. They're the fastest growing part of our population. Gay voters are fired up. And I think everyone is underestimating the turnout in Philadelphia and Philadelphia suburbs, which is why I think Joe Sestak can win and probably will win.
How much did it hurt, sort of, all the back talk that went on early in this race with Joe Sestak and the administration? He said the administration offered him a job. I mean, how confusing was all of that? And Specter getting booted out of the race after he, crossed over from being a Republican to a Democrat. What's the reaction of Pennsylvania voters to all that?
I actually think it's helped Joe Sestak because he's been able to campaign as an independent. The guy who stood up to party bosses, to elected officials like me, the vice president, the president, who all backed Arlen Specter. And it sort of adds to the patina that Joe has as being that independent. And that's what people are looking for in this year. So I think that's actually, in a strange way, helped Joe.
Yeah, but Toomey represents so many things that seem to be, really having momentum out there. He's a businessman. He's a conservative who, says he would not have voted for the bailout or stimulus or health care reform, all of which Joe Sestak backed.
Yeah, and I think some of Pat Toomey's positions are popular, but he's been getting pounded, I think fairly so. They have him on tape saying that corporations should pay no taxes, which is a disastrous point of view for Pennsylvanians, for working Pennsylvanians. And then secondly, they have him on tape talking about how it's good that China's economy, good for the U.S. that China's economy is doing so well. That also resonates very poorly in Pennsylvania, where we've lost a lot of jobs to outsourcing.
Well, let me ask you this. Nobody has their finger on the pulse of voters in Pennsylvania better than you do, Governor. You've been there a long time. Do you really believe that you're going to see that turnout, because this is what is so surprising in these numbers, is how strong conservative intensity seems to be. You really believe that you're going to see better Democrat turnout than any of the polls are showing? Why do you believe that?
Well, first of all, the intensity gap that everyone talks about. Will Republican voters, Tea Partyites, be more enthusiastic about getting to the polls? Sure they will. But the last time I checked, Martha, a wildly enthusiastic vote counts the same as a tepid vote.
Yeah, so but sometimes more people who are wildly enthusiastic show up to actually place that vote. That's the issue.
Absolutely. But what I'm telling you is that I think the campaigning by President Clinton, specifically, by the president, by the vice president, has really had an effect among the interest groups that make up the core of the Democratic Party.
I'm fascinated.
Look, I'm not saying that we're going to vote a higher percentage than Republicans, but we don't have to because we have 1.2 million more registered Democrats in Pennsylvania than Republicans.
I'm interested in the fact, and I just have time for one quick question, that you feel that President Clinton was more effective in your state than President Obama. Why?
Well, because President Clinton has become a beloved figure, even among independents and some Republicans. They think he did a great job, and when you look back in retrospect, the country did terrific under President Clinton, and he's a trooper. He gets out there, and he's not on the ballot. This has nothing to do with him personally. People respect that very much.
No, I don't ever remember a time where we've seen a former president have this kind of impact on elections. Fascinating to me. Ed Rendell, always good to see you, Governor. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
8 o'clock East Coast time. Pennsylvania closes on Tuesday. President Obama taking a